Hello there, Darksiders. I hope everyone's doing well today. So, I wanted to make a video on this, but I wanted to take a step back and kind of analyze a little bit more what's going on. A lot of the bigger YouTube channels, such as World Class Bullshitters, Geeks and Gamers, have already talked about this, in which, as y'all know, Disney Lucasfilm has revealed the Sith Trooper, or just a red stormtrooper. Yeah, I gotta give it for the creativity, right? So, I'm not calling the other YouTuber channels out. I do agree with what they say. This is just a ploy by Disney Lucasfilm trying to get people excited for the Rise of Skywalker. Because, I mean, honestly, I really don't see much to really look forward to going into this movie. So they keep revealing this stuff and revealing, like, oh, look, it's a Sith Trooper. It's gonna be the best damn thing in the movie. Yeah, okay. It's just, think back to The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens. Do y'all remember how much stuff was kept under wraps? How much was kept under secret? And then with The Rise of Skywalker, it's like we're getting just nitpicks here and there, like big reveal stuff. Quotations on the big reveal. And they're even saying that, oh yeah, Luke's going to be in it, even though I'm pretty sure a lot of us saw that. And then J.J. Abrams came out and said, oh yeah, Palpatine's definitely in it now. I mean, I don't know if he meant as like a Force ghost or Palpatine somehow survived getting tossed down a shaft and, a giant explosion. I don't know. But I want to talk about these Sith Troopers for a second. So, I honestly believe something that's really been lacking in the sequel trilogy has definitely been Jedi and Sith. Because I still don't believe Ben and Snoke were Sith. Now, they might be dark side users. I'm not denying that. But what I'm saying is I don't think they fall in lines of what we, the fan base, traditionally know as Sith. And Rey, she's a self-proclaimed Jedi, not a full-fledged trained Jedi. I mean, to be fair, Luke was like that, throughout a good portion of the Galactic Civil War until he went to Yoda. But, Rey, she hasn't really gotten any training at all. And, Luke, you could say, well, he was the Jedi Master in The Last Jedi. Well, the thing is, he exiled himself, and he barely taught Rey anything, and he went to an island to die. Just think about that for a second, folks. So, with the lack of Jedi and Sith, they come out with these Sith Troopers, trying to get people excited, go, hey, look, I bet y'all never heard of Sith Troopers before. When reality, those who kept up with KOTOR, well, for a fact, Sith Troopers have already been a thing. For those who remember, or those who just need a refresher, when Revan, invaded the Republic with his new formed Sith army, the average Sith Trooper had like a silver or reflective metallic armor, while the elite Sith Troopers had the red armor. I don't think it's a coincidence that these new Stormtroopers are called Sith Troopers and they have red armor, which I will get into that in a second. But the question is why call them Sith Troopers? That is what I'm trying to figure out. I mean, they could have called them anything, and honestly, especially the shill media, they would have been eating this up no matter what they were called. Like, they could have been called something as simple as Elite Stormtroopers or First Class Stormtroopers. They could even have been called Shock Stormtroopers, because it is canon that the First Order Stormtroopers that carry like the big blasters, they're not Shock Troopers. They're called Heavy Stormtroopers. So they could have easily called them Shock Troopers and people still would have went, crazy. Or they could have done something much more interesting. So remember Snoke's elite guards, the Praetorian guards, I believe they were called? Well, those were elite Praetorian guards. So it makes me wonder, okay, if those are the elites, who's the normal Praetorian guards? And plus, with the Sith Troopers, they could have called them Praetorian Troopers. Which, honestly, personally, I think that would have been a little bit better than just calling them Sith Troopers, because if they were called Praetorian Troopers, I mean, it's not out of the question to think that, like the Emperor, Snoke, yes, he had his Praetorian guards to protect him, but he could have also had his own personal legion within the First Order army that were Praetorian troopers, that were his specially trained and elite troopers. That goes with, I think a lot of people would have accepted that. And honestly, I think that would have been a little bit more interesting from my point of view going into that. Because for those who remember the EU, Palpatine had the Shadow Legion, which consists of the Shadow Guards, who had the light staffs, who were Force users, and then you had the Shadow Troopers, who they were more famously for their complete black Stormtrooper armor and their stealth field generators. And I gotta hope I'm saying the name correctly, folks. It's been a minute since I've seen the movie, so I just can't remember off the top of my head. But I'm just saying, if they called them the Praetorian Troopers, it would have been a little bit more direct tie to Snoke, and it would have showed us a little bit more of what he had going on within the First Order, since they still, after, what, damn near 4 years now since The Force Awakens, they still refuse to show us anything of Snoke's background, about what he did exactly, rather than just, I'm the leader, do as I say. But I think that would have been more interesting if they went that direction, but instead they called them Sith Troopers, because once again, as I said, they're trying to get people excited for this movie. Now, whether or not these stormtroopers have been modified by Sith alchemy or anything like that, I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, it is canon that Snoke did have another apprentice other than Ben Solo, but we ain't seen nothing of him. We just know he exists. I mean, it could highly possibly be that the Sith Troopers are not Kylo Ren's army or his personal stormtroopers. It could be the Sith Troopers could be the other apprentice's forces. I mean, it could be that maybe the other apprentice is forming his own division in the First Order to try to take over from Kylo Ren. It's an interesting theory, but there's no evidence to really back that up. Now, as I said, they intentionally picked Sith Troopers. Now, it is rumored that, it's confirmed that J.J. Abrams did go to George Lucas for help on basically saying, help me, George Lucas. You're my only hope. How can I fix this trilogy? It is not known what is said, but, George could have just slapped him across the face and said, well, when I made Star Wars, it's always been about the Jedi and the Sith, the two biggest religious parts of the galaxy. So, boom, there you go. But since I still believe, since Ben is not a Sith, but a Knight of Ren, they went a different path, and bada bing, bada boom, creation of the Sith Troopers. There you go. And honestly, it's really lazy, in my opinion. I really do like the idea that they should have went the Praetorian Troopers a lot more, but they didn't. Instead, they chose Sith on purpose to try to get people, excited, like, hey, look, remember the Sith and the Jedi and all their fighting? Yeah, we remember. We ain't seen none of that in the sequel trilogy. We've just seen two, I don't know, early 20s, late teens individuals thinking that they're this and thinking that they're that. That's just my opinion. That's what I believe. Now, the other reason I do believe they went the Sith Trooper route is, as many of you know, the next Star Wars trilogy is rumored to take place in the Old Republic era. So, is it a coincidence that these Sith Troopers from the First Order are being announced? Because it's could be a marketing tactic that, one, they're trying to bring Sith, which is a recognizable name, into the sequel trilogy at last, and two, it could be that they're trying to get people nostalgic, like, oh, I remember the original Sith Troopers from the KOTOR games. So it's possible that they named them Sith Troopers to, one, try to get people excited for 9, but also try to get people nostalgic for the Old Republic coming up. Because, look, I'll be honest, I don't think there's a lot of excitement going into the sequel, the last movie of the sequel trilogy and the supposed end of the Skywalker saga until they bring it back for marketing purposes. It'll happen. It's gonna happen. I don't know when. It could be 10 years from now. It could be 15 years from now. But they at some point they will bring the Skywalker name back for marketing reasons. But I think there's more going on with the Sith Troopers. It's more than just, oh hey, here is an action figure to sell, and oh hey, here's a new stormtrooper we can market off of. I mean, there's more to it behind. They're obviously using well-recognized names to try to get people nostalgic. Obviously, because they brought Palpatine back, and JJ did say, yeah, Palpatine's back. He didn't say in what form, but we know for a fact Palpatine's returning. Because, as I said, if they put some thought into it, someone somewhere bound to have thought, why don't we just call them Batarian troopers? To kind of tie them in with the Batarian guards and Snoke and all this other stuff. But instead, as they specifically chose the term Sith, because they're trying to get people excited. And honestly, I don't think it's going to work. And I believe that these Sith Troopers might have the Phasma effect. And what I mean by that is, remember when The Force Awakens came out, they were marketing Phasma pretty damn hard. They're like, look, it's a chrome stormtrooper with a cape. She's badass. She's great. But then we see the movie and they misuse her. And then we see the other movie and they misuse her again and kill her. I highly believe that the Sith Trooper route is going to be the same way. We're going to see them in a battle and they're going to, probably do some excellent stuff and excellent marksmanship, but then the main heroes are going to come in and, basic stormtrooper logic, as soon as the main hero is alive, they're completely useless. And the Sith Troopers are just going to be tossed aside, and I honestly believe that. I mean, as I said, I wanted to take a back approach to it, trying to see a little bit more than just sit here and complain about their lack of creativity. It's a marketing tactic, and I believe they're also trying to get nostalgia for KOTOR and even the Old Republic MMO. Even though there were no Sith Troopers, they were all Imperial Troopers. But I honestly believe that's what they're doing, and I just don't see it working. I see a lot of people kind of just sitting there going, why Sith Troopers? As I said, I literally just sat here making this video and thought of Batarian Troopers, just like that. And if I can do it, just sitting here in a room, why can't a bunch of people in like an actual boardroom sitting there tossing ideas, why can't they think of stuff like that? Talking to you, JJ. Anyway, folks, that's all I got for you today. I'll talk to y'all later.